Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Search Sessions is a bi-weekly show we're hosting during the COVID-19 pandemic to help businesses and our community best position themselves for success during and after the crisis. We host this every other Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain and bring on industry experts and thought leaders to provide business advice and guidance during these times. This week, we have a fantastic show lined up for you. Our Boostability SEO experts took a deep dive into many of the top verticals that we service and pulled out key learnings, SEO recommendations, and business advice on ways that you can pivot your or help your customers pivot their business during this crisis to attract more customers and drive more revenue. In today's show, we'll provide SEO tips and recommendations on how businesses in specific verticals can best maximize their SEO and position their business for success. These tips and tricks can be applied across the board, so we hope you get a ton of inspiration and ideas for your business or for your clients. We have Colton Miller, our Director of SEO, here today to take us through the research he and his team have completed. Colton, thank you for being here today.
As always, thanks for having me.
Fantastic. And Mike Marsh, our amazing SEO manager. Mike, thank you for being here.
Yep, thanks for having me too.
Great. And I'm Amanda Price, the VP of Marketing here at Boostability and your host. So let's jump in. Boostability is the global leader in small business and partner-focused white label SEO. We offer affordable SEO specifically designed to meet the needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Our proprietary technology Launchpad tracks over 2.3 million keyword rankings per month, which enables us to make SEO decisions based on millions of bits of information. Not only that, but we service customers and partners around the world. We're in 15 countries, 9 languages, and are quickly expanding. We get 86% of our customers on page 1 of Google within 6 months and got over 69,000 keywords on page 1 in 2019 alone. Boostability is dedicated to helping businesses succeed online, and we have an information-packed show for you today. So let's take a look at the agenda. In today's agenda, Boostability's SEO experts will take you through some of the top verticals we service and provide strategic advice and actionable SEO strategies that you can apply to your business in this new world of social distancing so that you can maximize your revenue and different opportunities for your business. We're then going to dive into a Q&A, and please note that you can submit your questions in the questions tab throughout the entire talk, and we'll queue them and answer them at the end. And then tune in for our next show on Wednesday, May 13th at 11 a.m. MST. And we have an amazing guest that we're going to be announcing shortly. All right, so let's jump in. I'm now going to pass the mic to Colton and Mike, who are going to take us through the research their teams have done and provide actionable SEO and business strategies that you can deploy in this new social distancing environment we're all living in. Mike and Colton, over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us again. Like you mentioned, we did a lot of research and we did a lot of work coming up with these different ideas on how businesses can pivot during the social distancing environment. So the way that we're going to be presenting this information is there's going to be SEO strategies that are included, but there's also going to be social distancing strategies that I'm sure if you're in this industry, if you're in this business, that you probably have heard, but hopefully you haven't. And we're here to help. We're here to help generate ideas and just continue this discussion about what we can do to help our small business, whether you're a partner or whether you're a small business yourself, succeed online. The way that Boostability is set up, we heard a little bit from Amanda. We serve a lot of different verticals. Just for example, here on this page, we serve a lot in the business vertical, in the health and medical law, construction, contractors, dentists, you name it, we've seen it. But the biggest vertical is the small SMB, just the business vertical. And so that's one that we wanted to dissect a little bit and then break up into about 10 different niches or even smaller verticals where we could specifically have advice for those ones.
Yeah. So just to add on to that, these verticals that we have here, these are our top 10 verticals that we service, just kind of in broad. And these are what we call parent verticals, or kind of top verticals. Within that, there are literally hundreds of other smaller verticals and more specific areas that businesses fall into. So that's what we'll be getting into. Hopefully, if this information, is liked, this is certainly most of the feedback that we've gotten, which is like, what do I do if I'm a plumber? What do I do if I'm a dentist? It's very specific and kind of wanting to know, what do I do as the business owner of X business? And so with that, we're going to dive into the business vertical today, and then in future sessions, hopefully we can dive into some of our other top verticals and essentially take our learnings from what we're seeing other people doing, what other people are doing inside of SERPs, and just generally what is kind of happening, who's adapting and what are they adapting and how are they adapting and what's working well for them. So with that, let's jump into some of our first data here. So the top one here, tattoo artists. Specifically within the business vertical, this is one of our top tier clients. I'll let Mike share the SEO stuff, and I'll get into the potential business strategies.
Awesome. So as I was going through, and on for SEO strategy, there are specific things that are, like we mentioned, they can go and they can be applicable to other areas, but this one specifically. So we've talked about in past search sessions that you should be working on your website at this time. That's no different for tattoo or tattoo artists or piercing shops. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the functionality of your website is applicable to your specific vertical. Like you have a good gallery. You're making sure that it's mobile friendly. You have a calendar on there of maybe when your appointments are, when you're booked. You just have that kind of functionality that your clientele can use and utilize, and that you're communicating regularly about the things that you're doing, where you're at, and a lot of different things. So making sure that your website has those things available is essential. Making sure during this time, you can also be earning backlinks. We've mentioned this in the past as well. You can make sure that you're creating shareable content. If you're stuck inside, or if you don't have any clients right now, make sure that you're doing something, that you're creating content and creating strategic partnerships with local artists. Maybe you like American traditional, or you like Japanese traditional, and you want to partner with a different artist and you want to see what that kind of art mixes together. That would be great shareable content. That would be great things to do if you're an artist. And then, as always, social media exploration. A lot of tattoo artists, they're very good at social media. They're very good about sharing when they've completed. You've seen a lot of those on Pinterest and on Instagram. That's a great avenue for them to go. Again, think of TikTok. We've mentioned it in the past. It's an up and coming. It's very, very easy to do. And a lot of eyes are on TikTok right now. And then make sure that you're always engaging with your community quickly. With social media, and there's a few instances where as part of the SEO strategy, I've thrown social media in here. The reason why I've thrown it in there is you want to always utilize social media to help your brand awareness, but then also to push people to your site where then you have this functionality. So you see how it all kind of connects together, and it's no different for any vertical. Make sure you have a website that works. Make sure that you have social media that's pushing to that website, and that will help your overall SEO and your rankings.
Yeah, just to tack on to what Mike had said there, when it comes to getting links and kind of working that way, obviously, hopefully if you're a tattoo shop, your artists are spending this time to kind of practice up on their art, but encourage that. If they don't have resume sites, if they don't have their own portfolio sites, help them get that, and then subsequently try to get them to, maybe link back to you. If you haven't spent the time to actually reach out to your community and get involved in, associations or different things like that, now's the time. It's a great way. And then I love the social media. That is huge. A lot of tattoo artists, honestly, they are already doing this. And the one disconnect that at least that I see quite a bit is they're great on social media, but not a whole lot of that information or content makes it to the website. So start creating that bridge. Start creating maybe a weekly dump, maybe a monthly kind of download of what's been done for the week, and then, uploading it to the site. There's a lot of different ways. Taking that kind of sidestep from the SEO side of things, what can you do in this time to maybe help boost business, right? Get you back on your feet, get a little bit more cash flow in. There's quite a few things. I'm seeing some of these from some some local kind of tattoo shops here. I'm also seeing this kind of in SERPs and what people are offering now. Different things like design or prepaid sessions. So things like, hey, get a $200 session, only $150 right now, but you have to pay right now, and then you'll be able to redeem that later, kind of like a gift card. Same with designs. So again, where some people have that downtime, it's more like, hey, I'll give you a full custom design. Just give me, 5 images that you want. Tell me kind of how you want it, and let's work through it. Typically you see this with like Fiverr, things like that, but hey, your tattoo artist, can now do that. So if you've been thinking about it, now's the time that you could potentially offer that, put that out there. If you've got the social media going, put it out on your social media. Another one, and this is kind of going to be across different verticals, but make sure that you're putting out what you're doing to clean up your shop, right? If you haven't taken the time to actually go through and really deep clean it, maybe now's the time to do that. You can always take a video, again, kind of social media. You can go back. Here's what we've done to help, improve the cleanliness of our shop, or here's what we're requiring all of our tattoo artists to do. There's different things you can do with that to kind of show what you're doing, again, to just kind of cope with COVID-19, and specifically just kind of cope with, cleanliness around your shop. Another thing you can do is stagger tattoo sessions. Maybe instead of having 4 people in the shop all at once, maybe you have 2, depending on your shop, right? If you have, a 4,000 square foot shop, you could probably fit a lot of people. But if you're only working in, 300, 400 square foot space, then maybe you only get 1 or 2 people in. Maybe you separate it so that one person has one day, maybe one person has another day, and then they can stagger their own clientele coming in. There's quite a few different ways that you could still potentially have clientele coming in, and then keeping them safe, and obviously keeping yourself safe too. Another one, I actually watch a few of these during the day, but you could always do live video feeds as well, right? You can watch somebody potentially getting a tattoo. You can put that out there. If you're in your own little family unit, or you're living with some roommates, maybe now's the time you give them kind of a freebie, and then you maybe show off some of that work. This is another way that you could potentially get revenue. So maybe this is something that you just start doing, now during this time, but then you continue on just to help get your business name out there, get your name out there, and then subsequently, hopefully you can maybe get a little bit of revenue off of it. Another one, which is also pretty unique that I saw, was some design competition raffles. So something like, you buy a $10 ticket or a $10 raffle ticket, and you earn, potentially a few sessions or a full-on tattoo. There's a few different ways that people are putting that out there. But essentially, hey, bid to get your ticket in the raffle here. You can buy as many tickets as you want. And then, on Friday, we're going to go through and we're going to auction off, essentially whatever prizes we put out there. So those are just a few of the things that you could certainly do for a tattoo shop, piercings, different things like that, just to help potentially generate some extra business. And then obviously the SEO tips, you should already be doing that. And if you're not, now's the time, jump into it.
I love these ideas. And before we move on to the next business, the one thing that I think is really interesting is think of your website as like your mothership. So a lot of people spend so much time on social media creating content, and that's fantastic. But think about it where you create the content to put it on your website, and then use social media to broadcast it out to get people to come back to your website. That's how you're really going to impact that SEO. Get more traffic to your site, and then you become a bigger authority with Google. And I thought that was a really great point. I'm glad you guys made that. And I love the design competition with the raffle idea. That's so interesting and so smart, and you're getting people engaged. So anyways, great ideas there.
Definitely.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that super quick. I mean, a lot of this stuff, while it's going to, I'm putting it out here more in the sense of driving immediate business. Amanda's sitting right on it, is that you'll get additional things. You may get, an extra 400 followers that you never thought you'd ever get, because, hey, more people are on social media now, right? They're not going out, so they want to get out, on streams, or they want to get out on social media. So just by going through and doing some of this stuff to maybe generate more business may also potentially have, massive impacts on the digital side of things.
Definitely. The next one that we have here is childcare, preschool, and daycare. This one, with the SEO strategy, again, when I was going through this, you obviously are going to use local SEO tactics, because you're not going to be pulling from a national pool. You're probably a childcare in a specific city and you are pulling just from that populace. And so there are local SEO tactics that you're going to be using. And through that, a lot of it is your Google My Business profile and different listings that you have. So Google recognizes you as an actual entity. Make sure that you're doing content promotion. So first off, you need to be doing content and can't harp that enough. You need to be, again, showing what you're doing, having content, what makes you special, like creating those kinds of things, and then promoting it through Google My Business with posts, as well as pushing people towards your site, which I imagine as a childcare preschool, sometimes you don't have a site. I think that there's instances where it's just a family unit, and then they bring in some individuals, some children, and then incorporate that, and that's how they go through their childcare. But you can also build a site through Google My Business. There's a lot of great tools that they provide small business in that avenue. Make sure that you're updating your listings. If you haven't seen, and if you haven't already done this with COVID-19, on March 19th, Google My Business allowed you to put specific updates that are related to COVID-19. And so make sure that you're changing that you're saying that you have appropriate hours, that your business description is updated. In some instances, Google even recommended that you put something about COVID-19 in your business description. But then I think that they modified that shortly after, and they just allowed you to put like a little stamp. A short-term content for current searches. So there's a lot of instances, and this is kind of what a lot of people have been pivoting to do, but this is something that childcare can do as well, is create that short-term content to pull in new traffic for how you're adapting, what precautions are you taking. You're doing this short-term content that's maybe surrounded around how you're reacting to COVID-19. And that's just the current search trend. And so that's something that you might be able to pivot and you might be able to create. And again, that's probably applicable across the board.
And Mike, this is so important. I'm getting emails now because I have a young son from daycares, and they're starting to let me know kind of what they're doing, how they're handling COVID-19, what they're going to do when they reopen. And this is a time to start thinking about your reopening plan and start doing that content now to build that trust with parents, so that they say, I am confident to send my kid back to daycare, which it's scary right now with all the different things happening. But if you as a brand can build that trust and communicate what you're doing and put that out there on your site so that they can come back to it, send it out in email marketing to them, but click back to your site with all the information listed on your site. So you start to rank for those keywords, but you're also bringing people again back to the mothership to get all the key information. That builds that trust. And now is the time to really focus on that and get the SEO benefit and also the customer trust with your customers.
Oh, definitely. And if you look at SEO as a tactic, it's just trust. It's Google trusts you more, puts you up higher. So it's all about building that trust. I love that, Amanda.
All right. So jumping into some of the things that you may be able to do for your business, again, to help drive maybe some revenue or kind of stay open a little bit more. One thing that I've seen happening now is smaller class sizes. So maybe they're limiting the amount of people that they're actually intaking on a daily basis. Same thing, similar to the tattoo artist. Maybe you could stagger things like, hey, we only have 2-hour allotments. We're only taking 2 kids at a time, whatever it might be. Just try to limit potentially the amount of kids you have coming in. That's the potential way. Obviously, you're not bringing in nearly as much revenue, but you could still bring in some revenue. Another thing that I've also seen, and I've actually experienced this one through a family member, is fun packets or learning packets, things essentially to help parents so that when their kid gets home, they have something to do. Again, this is another thing that you could do pretty easy. You probably have most of this stuff already. If you're a daycare center, right, you probably have a cubby that has things, pictures to draw or different things like that. So you could potentially take that, give that to parents. So then again, they have more of a resource. And if you start branding that material, guess what? Your name is now all over their house. Friends come by, whatever it might be, that cross promotion starts to begin. So that's one way. Another way that you could do is expanding, how much time you're spending outdoors. It's, here it certainly is getting a lot nicer. So maybe you start spending, 4 hours outside instead of 2 hours, or maybe, 3 hours instead of 1, whatever it might be. You could also, again, share that with your social media. You can share that on your GMB, different things like that. Just to help show that, hey, we're getting the kids, we're taking them outside, we're getting fresh air. So that way, your kids are able to get some socialization, they're able to get outside, and hopefully they're tuckered out by the time they come home. And another one that you could do, this one was a little bit more unique, but limiting the exchange. So as an example, you have a parent dropping off a kid. I've seen it 2 different ways now, but essentially you either have a number card or a card, something like that, where you say, I'm kid number, or I'm parent number 4, therefore kid number 4 is my kid. They essentially drop it off to a worker who just comes out, gets the kid, goes inside. And then again, when you come around to pick up your kid, I'm number 4, therefore go get kid number 4, bring it to me. Different things like that, again, not necessarily to limit the child interaction potentially, but it limits the adults, right? The person who's potentially working and needs that child care from getting all the exposure from the other children, from the other workers, and vice versa. So there's those things. Another one that you could do is potentially limit the amount of material. So this is another thing that I've seen kind of going along with the COVID messaging is, at this time, we're not allowing external things in. So basically just your child. We're not allowing toys. We're not allowing snacks. We'll provide all that for you. Other ways that, again, you're just trying to help show that you are mitigating any potential risk from happening. It's not eliminating it all, but it is trying to minimize what's potentially happening. So those are a few things that you could certainly do to either help drive business, help improve business, or potentially, just kind of do a little bit extra, show that little more effort that somebody else potentially isn't doing.
These are such good ideas. And again, whenever you're doing this stuff, list it on your website and use all the different channels, email and social, to then drive people back so that it's all listed there. These are great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is dance classes, gym memberships. Lots of people have been affected by this, and lots of different gyms are trying different methods. But specifically for the SEO strategy, again, it goes back to Google My Business listings. You need to make sure that you're updated your hours of operation, that you have that short-term content and COVID-19 content and response and updates. And along with that, I think that we mentioned it on a past search sessions where you need to be seen. If you're a worker in the gym, you need to be seen wiping things down. You need to be, in addition to doing that, you need to actually be seen doing that so you can build that trust and be like, hey, this gym is really taking care. I know that a lot of gyms have been reducing the number of individuals that are even allowed in, if they're even open at all. But there's a lot of opportunity here, specifically if you're not open. Social media content. You see tons of workout videos, tons of educational guides, and around the home workout ideas. What I'm referring to there is specifically like you can go on TikTok, you can create these things, you can put it back on your site, push people back towards that route. And right now, educational content is being absolutely gobbled up. So make sure, put down something and start doing educational content. Say that this is a long series that I'm going to continue to do throughout. And it's just, this is now the impetus for starting that series. So continue, build that trust and show yourself as an expert in whatever kind of either a dance or a workout that you're able to do.
And sorry, Mike, real quick. This should be, there's some good stuff coming out of this because it's challenging us and changing us to do change the way we do business and do marketing. And when you're creating these videos, record them, and maybe going forward when everything has returned back to normal, you still every month, every week do a recorded video session that you then send out to your customers and you post it on your site. So that if people aren't able to make it to the gym that week, they're traveling in New York for a business, a meeting or something like this, they can log on to your website, again, driving that traffic back to your site, creating more authority with Google, and they're consuming your content. So use social media, and then, but maybe this becomes like a whole new part of your business that you didn't do before. I mean, look what Peloton has done and how they're succeeding right now, people being able to work out at home. So there are some key things here where you have to change because of COVID, but maybe it becomes part of your new arsenal on how you market and how you run your business. So yeah, just wanted to add that in there.
Oh yeah, and I think that as we come out of this time, a lot of questions for potential clients, potential partners is going to be, how did you react to this situation? And if it looks like you didn't do anything,
totally,
it's not going to look good for your business. You're not going to have a lot of trust. They're going to look back and I imagine at future jobs and future interviews, it'll be, how did you react? How did you treat your employees? How did you treat your clients? What did you do? How did you pivot? Because I wouldn't want to work for a company that didn't pivot quickly. I wouldn't want to work for someone that didn't have, I mean, foresight is a strong word but it have the ability to pivot quickly. And so just make sure that you're showing that.
That's such a good point. This probably will become a job interview question for everybody. What did you do during COVID-19, and how did you handle the crisis with crisis management, and what did you do? You know, how did you innovate and pivot? I love that.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great indicator.
It is, yeah.
All right. So the social distancing kind of strategy, what can you do here? A lot of people are already doing this, but you can switch to virtual sessions. Amanda, I think you were saying that you did one like last week, right?
Yeah, I do them every week.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of a softball one. A lot of people are already doing that. But another one that, again, kind of unique is you could potentially offer equipment, right? If you have, tons of yoga blocks or yoga mats, different things like that are just literally sitting in your shop, you're not doing anything. Now's the time to clean them really well and then maybe rent them, right? Maybe $5 a week. It's not a ton of money, but if you kind of do it in mass, all of a sudden it can. Or, hey, we're going to be doing a virtual class. Come get your equipment or come rent some equipment. There's a lot of different ways.
Idea. Yeah, because otherwise you just have, like, if you're a spin studio, there's a spin studio here in Utah that's doing it. They had 2 rooms full of like 50 bikes that were just sitting there. And like they decided to rent it out to customers. Then they broadcast a live class and they're charging every class. So they're making that same revenue they were making before, which is like mind blowing, because you never think, oh, let your, workout equipment go to someone's house, but it's working. I love that idea.
Right. And exactly. And if somebody's renting it, you can get a delivery fee potentially. You could just include that in the cost. There's all sorts of different things you could do. I mean, like for me right now, one thing that I'm having a hard time with is I don't have like weights, right? But I wish I could just take some weights. I wish I could just maybe grab 2 dumbbell sets. Like I don't need a lot.
Yeah.
1 or 2 things. So that's definitely one way. You've already hit on it here, but maybe online classes, group sessions, there's different ways you could potentially monetize that as well. I think the recording one is actually a fantastic idea, right? There's no reason that, hey, if you are a trainer, just do your regiment that you might do from home and be like, hey, $5, here was today's session. Whoever wants to buy it can buy it. Or maybe you give that out as branding. Maybe you give away 1 and then you charge for a few. There's all sorts of different ways, but recording it is a fantastic idea. Group sessions are obviously a big thing now. So that's certainly something else you could do. One that popped up on my wife's social media she's been going through was themed workouts. Never even would have thought of this, but again, fantastic idea. Potentially, again, if you have a group of people and you can say, hey, just to spice it up a little bit since nobody's getting out of the house, 80s steps workout, as an example. Everybody wear your most retro workout gear and let's work out. The one that she saw specifically was bring your own beer yoga, where bring a bottle, bring whatever you want. Let's do some yoga. We'll sit down, we'll meditate, we'll drink a little bit, and then we'll do some more yoga. I don't know how I like that personally, but I'm sure it's somebody's forte. So there's all sorts of things. Again, that's really not changing up a whole lot, but it is something extra, something different. And again, if that gets shared, right, if you're recording that and it's kind of funny, it has the potential to go viral. There's all sorts of other impacts that can come from some of these potential decisions. Another one, hopefully this is kind of a no-brainer, but space your equipment out, maybe offer some free gloves. Again, just try to help mitigate what can potentially be spread. Mike already hit on this, but if you don't have your cleaning guys out there during the day, or maybe they only come twice a day, now's the time to keep somebody on full time. Maybe hire 3 people full time and have them going around. Somebody moves off a machine, boom, it gets cleaned. Whatever
And market
you can
that.
do.
That's,
Go ahead.
I would want, and market that. Like, how awesome would that be to be like, hey, everyone, we have full-time cleaners. When you're done with the machine, we have someone cleaning it right away. Such a good idea.
Or potentially, and this one's just off the top of my head, thinking of that same thing, is maybe there's time slots now, right? I mean, going back to the tattoo thing, maybe now it's, hey, we can only let 50 people in. Usually we allow 300, but only 50. So if you want a time slot, sign up now, sign up quick.
And that creates demand.
Priority.
Yeah.
There's lots of people, I guarantee you, that would pay $10, $20, even if they're already paying for a membership, to have VIP time at 7 o'clock.
Totally.
They could do that. They could pay, $50 a week. They'll pay it. I guarantee, hands down, they'll pay it just to get that VIP time. Feel like they're getting something a little bit special. And then obviously, you're helping kind of prevent things, but also keeping yourself a little bit more busy and a little bit more revenue. So.
Love it.
Anyways, bunch of stuff here. Hopefully you can take some of it. Again, get that brain working. If you're not a dance class, right, but maybe you're teaching gymnastics, something like that. I'm not saying the right name for you, but I guarantee you some of this stuff can kind of cross-apply across different things.
Definitely. Next one we have here is print and graphics company and a label company. The SEO strategies that I selected for this one is reevaluate your keywords. Are there more, and we mentioned this, I keep on saying that we mentioned this in past search sessions. That's an invitation to go and watch past search sessions if you haven't already. So a little bit of a plug there. But reevaluate your keywords. Google has, for Google Ads, they have a keyword tool that you can use for free. Go in there, see which ones you're ranking for already, and see which ones maybe are more intent driven, meaning they are going to promote sales. For a specific print and graphics company, keywords that stand out are specific your name, your location. Again, that's a local SEO, but also maybe you're trying to rank for drive-through opens or COVID-19 open signs, where you're printing that and you're creating those signs for other small businesses. Make sure that you're following search trends and see if it's shifted for good in your industry. It's reevaluating your current keyword strategy, and you need to be constantly doing this. I would say at least every 3 months going through and reevaluating your keywords, because search trends change all the time. And if not, you can have us do that.
One thing I'll just add real quick to what Mike's saying there is absolutely you want to make sure that your keywords are top notch. The one thing I will say, at least with COVID-19 specifically, Google AdWords, whether better or for worse, they actually are cutting out a lot of queries from there. So if you are searching things like COVID-19, and then my service, you're probably not going to get any feedback or any ideas from that. They're actually just cutting all of those out of their tool. So it'll just tell you, we've removed all these keywords. It's really annoying, but just be aware if you're looking for those kind of keywords. I think, and just to kind of help pivot it a little bit, make it a little bit more specific. If you were offering one service, maybe you should be looking at another service, something that might be more popular. I know, at least around here, the signs, the amount of signs on lawns, it's like quadrupled overnight because everybody's trying to show that they're open, and they're trying to do that cheaply and easily and quickly. So I think timeliness is definitely something you could start adding into your searches, but I'll let Mike finish, but COVID-19, don't include that in your searches when you're trying to find keywords. Google's just going to nix it anyways. So if you're looking for those kind of keywords, that's probably why you're not getting results back.
Yeah. And then as far as website audit goes, specifically for print and graphics company, the site architecture and internal link structure, if that's not something that you've considered, again, it's a fairly basic website audit where you're looking at how Google crawls your website. You're looking at page speed, mobile friendliness, examples of completed work. I've actually been through a lot of different print and graphic company websites. And for somebody who deals in graphics, sometimes they're not great graphics on those websites. And so it's something that you should really use it as an example of completed work as your profession, something you should be able to be proud of. I know in a lot of instances it will either be a mom and a pop, and so it's a little bit difficult, but that's why Boostability is here. We're here to help out. But make sure that that you're doing a website audit and that you have the right kind of architecture set up to really highlight your work and to highlight what you've been able to do and how you've been able to pivot.
Yeah, as a business, you need to think of your website as your resume. And people are going to come look at your website to say, do I want to hire these people? Do I want to work with these people? Do I want to give them my business? And so your website needs to look amazing and function amazing. And if you are a graphics company, like Mike said, make sure you have great graphics on your site so that people trust you. Anyways,
Sure.
Yeah, I want to throw that in there.
Yeah. So again, social distancing. What can you do here? If you're not already, your site definitely should now be e-commerce, right? People should be able to buy from you, know exactly what you're selling, what you're offering. The whole phone thing, mixed results, I'm sure. But now is the time, especially if your site is a little bit older, now is the time to insert that functionality or potentially make a new site. I think Mike's point about hierarchy, I can definitely agree with, especially when it comes to this. Some of these sites, they were made back in 1995. They haven't been updated yet. So let's take the time to go through and update them. Another thing you can do is potentially selling new signage or selling something else. Maybe you offer a 2-for-1. There's different things you can do to try to resell your service or repackage them for current needs. Another thing you could potentially do is show what you're doing to sanitize your products before you send them out, right? So we're handling all this stuff, we're handling everything, but we're washing everything before we send it out. Hopefully this is part of your kind of COVID-19 messaging, but if you're not doing it, this is something you could certainly do. And if you're showing that, hey, I'm taking every step that I can to ensure that if you're handing this product out, it is clean and it's ready to go and it's not transferring anything, I guarantee you're going to outwin the 3 other people around you that are not showing that, because somebody's going to go, oh, looks like they're actually taking that extra step. They actually care. Therefore, I'm probably going to give them my business, even if it's a little bit more expensive, whatever it might be. Another thing you could do is, now is the time to start forging those relationships. Maybe you give away a few signs in exchange for links. Maybe you start exchanging some business as far as, let me give you some flyers and maybe you help me out. There's a few different ways you can do that. Partnering up with a marketing company is a great way. Maybe going to somebody who does kind of boutique of their own SEO or marketing work is another way. So now's the time where everybody has to be connected to their phone and to their email. Now's the time to start reaching out and making those connections. And again, maybe you start selling things in the future. Maybe it's more of a, hey, remember my name when things start booming again, or here, let me give you this sign so that we can, potentially have a relationship in the future. There's all sorts of things you can do here. But in general, just try to get your name out there. Try to, again, adapt to what's happening now and try to make sure that you're targeting things that people are actually looking for now. Business cards, probably not going to be a hot item for the next, foreseeable future, but maybe instead it's a hat, or maybe it's something that you could just give away to somebody and has your name on it versus something that, could potentially pass some things back and forth.
All right. The next one we have is Country Club Private Club. For the SEO strategy or website audit, when I was going through this, it was if you own this facility or if you have these types of facilities, I imagine that you have a lot of relationships with a lot of photographers. And so make sure that your website, again, is your resume, is your mothership, and is something that you're proud of. If your facility is a beautiful facility, which I imagine that it is, make sure that you're doing an image refresh. You have a lot of opportunity there to really show off what you have, and that your website needs to reflect that. Also, be thinking, like we mentioned before, be thinking of when you're going to be reopening. You need to be able to communicate that somewhere, and if it's not on your website, it should be. So make sure that you have that type of functionality, whether it's a calendar or a blog post or something along those lines, where you're communicating to the public and communicating to your clients when that reopening time frame or when you expect to at least slowly start reopening. Again, with local SEO, because in a lot of instances, these clubs are specific for local, make sure that your GMB is promoting your business with posts, descriptions, and updates. That's across the board. If it's a local business, if it's a local SEO, I can't emphasize enough, you need to have a GMB. If you don't, you need to be using it, and you need to be using it regularly. It's something that my sister is in the photography business, and I said, why don't you have a GMB? Let me create one for you. Here you go. She got 3 clients right off the bat just from GMB. It's something that if you don't have, you need to create it. The social media interaction, again, this is an idea where you can make short, entertaining videos. What makes you special? If you have people, there's no one in your facility right now, or if there is somebody in your facility, have entertaining videos as you're going through. You know, a lot of photographers, like I mentioned, they can probably help you, and you can partner with them and be like, come over here, I need to make a video, I need to do a walkthrough, I need to do a virtual tour. I want people to get to know the staff, or have little kind of educational pieces on what makes your club special. And then again, like we've mentioned before, having that social media interaction, pushing it back to the site, that will help with your overall SEO strategy and that trust in Google's eyes.
Yeah. So social distancing here, this one will obviously vary quite a bit depending on the club and different membership statuses, I'm sure, and a bunch of other things. But a few things that I've seen here are, offering shows or offering nightly movies. One of them, I think there's local around here, is they're offering like nightly movies. So you come over, you pay X amount, and then you can come over and see a movie with, a bunch of other people on a blown up, screen with the projector, the whole 9 yards. So that's certainly another way that you could do it. Extending memberships is something that hopefully you're doing just as a courtesy, obviously, to your members. Maybe you do it now. Again, we don't know how long this is lasting, but the faster you come out and say, hey, 3 months, nobody's going to hit you if this thing lasts, a year, right? But doing something definitely can show that good faith to your members. Another thing you can do is virtual meetups. So similar to kind of how we're doing here, maybe you start doing, maybe a weekly or maybe a nightly roundup of, hey, if you want to come hang out, you want to chat with a few people, come join our Discord, come join, whatever it might be. And let's hang out, let's chat. Hopefully the things that you should be doing already if you're part of a club or membership there. Another thing you could do is activities maybe with allotments. So maybe you have a golf course, maybe you have like something on your property that somebody can come do. Maybe you start, having people come in there at time intervals. Maybe they sign up for it. Maybe you do a competition, and maybe that's part of it. Come here, see what you score, and then at the end of it all, we'll hand out a prize. So everybody's still getting a chance to get their membership use. Obviously not as much, but they're still able to get some sort of value out of that, and then hopefully keep on paying. Another thing you could do is potentially have other competitions. So maybe you do an art competition. Maybe you do something else. Maybe if you've been needing your logo redesigned, now is a good time. If you've been thinking about getting another name, again, now is a good time. Not only will you help get engagement from your members, but you could potentially have a little bit of virality going out there. Maybe you offer it to them plus 5 other people. There's all sorts of different ways that you could essentially engage your members during this time, even if you have to kind of close your facility or keep it to a limited kind of occupancy, something like that. So a few different things you could do with a country club, private club, memberships, whatever it might be.
I love the drive up movie or show, Sundance, which is a amazing ski resort and hotel here in Utah owned by Robert Redford, is doing something really cool. So what they do on a Friday and Saturday night is you can call in advance and you order from their restaurant, and you drive up into their parking lot and they will give you a pre-made meal that you ordered. And then they have the parking lot set up, and like you can park your car here, and 10 feet away there's another car. So you can go with a group of people and kind of have like a tailgate at Sundance, and you're in this beautiful location. So if you are like a country club or an amazing hotel or something, and you have these gorgeous outdoor spaces as a backdrop, you can absolutely like activate people and get them to like come to your venue, buy food from you, and have like an experience watching a movie, just spending time together in a social distance environment. I thought that was really innovative. And I just saw that they started doing that, and it's been going gangbusters.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, the next one that we have is tours and bus tours. For the SEO strategy here, it goes back to content creation. If you're not giving tours right now, and if you're not able to facilitate large groups of people, make sure that you're creating content, that you're using this downtime for a good purpose. You probably have a lot of local experts that have a lot of great stories about the specific areas that you're in, or different things that they have, the narrative that they speak as they're giving these tours. Put it in text format, post it on your site. That's something that's a great opportunity. You can also do virtual tours. You can do infographics and other shareable pieces. Don't be idle during this time. Don't take it as time off. I know that in a lot of instances it's your livelihood. But that's why content creation is so important, and then promoting it correctly is also important.
That's such a good idea. I've been creating lists on my phone of like all the things I want to do when I can like go out into the world, where I want to go, what experiences I want to have. And so if you become someone who's feeding all of that to your customers and to the audience out there, you're going to get so many people ready to sign up for your tours and kind of following along and believing you as an authority. So I love that point. There's so much you can do right now, especially if you are like a tour company that creates experiences for people.
Oh yeah. And across the board with social media, just make sure that you're increasing your customer communication, that you're communicating what you're doing, how you're doing it, when you're going to reopen, and then again, pushing that content or that traffic over to your website, if at all possible, with your content. So it goes hand in hand there.
So then when it comes to business side of things, I think this point probably applies to everybody, but you could offer discounts at this time, maybe a buy one, get one, right? So again, you're not making as much money, but you're still making some money. Or maybe you're offering a discount. If it's $150 for an all-day tour, maybe it's only $100 3 months from now. Maybe you're giving some rain checks to people already. There's a few different things you could do. Another one is maybe, kind of small groups, single family units. So, hey, if you're all part of the same family, you're coming to the city, you had already planned this trip already, come here, we'll give you an exclusive tour, just you, your family. It limits obviously your exposure, but then limits their exposure, and obviously they're going to feel really special if they're on this huge bus and there's only 5 of them, right? There's obviously a lot of things that you have to weigh out there, but that's one potential option. Another option is just space it, right? If you have a giant bus, maybe you do it every 2 seats, maybe every other third seat. There's certainly different ways that you could try to space people out within that environment, and still kind of keep things clean and kind of up to code. Another potential option, depending on what you have, is using only open air vehicles. So if you have that double-decker bus, maybe you don't use the bottom portion. It's enclosed, you can't air it out very well, but maybe you only use the top portion. And again, maybe you space people out there, exclusive tours, different things there. If you've got a boat, perfect. Obviously great weather. Obviously somebody wants to get out there now. And even locally, I think that's the one thing that I've got to raise, is that people that probably never would have taken your tours locally, they want to take them now. Guarantee it. They want to get out. Love my wife to death, but she is going crazy. She wants to just go on a drive. Even for myself, probably be looking into a tour soon, because we just need to get out of the house.
Totally.
All right, the next one up is Pawn Shop. For the SEO strategy here, again, going to website audit. And this is kind of going back and forward across the board, demonstrating what you have in your inventory and putting that on your website would be monumental during this time. It would save a lot of people time. You would have more interest as people who know what you have in inventory are coming to your site or coming to your actual location. Just making sure that you have an inventory that you're constantly updating. That's something that you see around with Costco, with different large companies, that they're always They're trying to find ways to demonstrate what they have in their inventory. And I know that's a pretty big ask for some instances, but if you have a way to do that on your website and to show, hey, I have these hot ticket items, I have these things over here, to really pull people in to see what kind of trends are happening, that would be monumental. And then if your website has the ability to sell online, has that e-commerce ability, that would be a great opportunity. I know a lot of instances, pawn shops, it's really face-to-face, and so maybe that's not as feasible, but there is the opportunity there. If you have specific things in your inventory, you just say, this is the price, take it or leave it. Also, content organization and creation, again, going back to that, but it's a little bit more organized. Make sure that you have video, image, and text content for your shop, that you're constantly creating that kind of content during this time. Make sure, and this is the idea of a content cluster, have one great piece of content and then smaller pieces that point towards that great one with internal linking structure. Again, that's how you can really demonstrate to Google how to crawl the site, build trust with Google. And again, update your Google My Business page, use the posts, that function to promote your content that you're creating during this time, and then make sure that you've, again, changed your business hours and description.
Yeah, I think Mike already hit on it, but the e-commerce functionality is massive for this one. If you don't already have that, now is the time. Subsequently, you don't have to rely on just your own website. You know, eBay, there's different things that you could potentially do to get your inventory out there, and again, just get yourself making some money. One that I've seen personally was actually virtual auctions. So here we have this, you know, lot A, lot B, lot C. You know, we're going to do kind of a quick auction, starts at 50, goes up from there. You know, again, that's a great way to kind of engage a small community, engage people. That's one that potentially you don't even have to have locally. You know, if they share it with 5 other friends, somebody's across country, if you're willing to ship that or even just include that in the price, you could potentially offer that externally. And if you keep going, again, you can grow that audience. You can get more people in it. Another one is mystery boxes. So maybe think of like a grab bag type thing, right? Here's a box, fill it with, you know, goods. Obviously try to make it good. You don't want to kind of, you know, mess with anybody there, but make it good, ship out a bunch of boxes. Again, if you kind of stuff 1 or 2, maybe a little bit premium, people start sharing that, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, what, you got a box? Your kids bought a box and then everybody's opening it? Oh man, you got that cool thing. I want to get that now. And then again, you kind of build that up over time. You could potentially get rid of some really old inventory that you've never been able to sell. Now, if it's part of a group thing, nobody's going to complain if they got 4 DVDs plus something really cool, right? See, all sorts of different things you could do there. Another one, this one I've also seen locally, is yard sale groups. So just trying to put out their inventory locally. You could potentially offer delivery with that. So you order it today. If you're within 30 minutes, I'll get it over to you in the next hour. It's a great way to keep some employees kind of engaged with you. Obviously, it's a great way to get your inventory out there. Then another one, again, if you have the capability, is offering maybe some discounts. Mike's kind of put it out there. You've got to make sure your inventory is out there, and it doesn't even have to be anything grand. I'll give you an idea here. Take a picture of all of your DVDs, all of your games. It doesn't even have to be pretty. Just stack them together, put them in a big, group. Take a picture so that everybody can see what's there. List them out on your website or whatever it might be on a listing. Let people go through, and then tomorrow, update that picture, update that list. There's all sorts of different ways you can go out there. And if somebody says, hey, I found you on your website, that's how I ordered that, maybe you offer a discount. Bunch of different things, right? So, yeah.
Great opportunity. All right. The next one is custom apparel and shirt printing. With the website audit, again, going back to e-commerce, adding that online ordering functionality, I think in a lot of instances that this custom apparel and shirt printing, like it's that availability is there, but if it's not, put it on there. And again, create content during this time. In a lot of instances, I know that custom apparel and those types of companies do have strategic partnerships, and that's how they have those reoccurring orders. But with conferences now canceled, there's a lot of things to do to pivot. Make sure, try to promote different things, and increase your site traffic. Reach out to local businesses with partnership opportunities. Reach out to the local business associations to reach out to even smaller businesses. I know in a lot with these companies, the big orders are the ones that push a lot of the money, but reach out to the SMBs, see what you can do to really just band together as small businesses and see if you can create apparel that would bring us all together. There's also a great opportunity with social media presence. I've seen a lot of companies do this, but with Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, increase your social media presence across the board. It sounds kind of like a broken record, but a lot of these things with the SEO strategy are very similar. And so just make sure that you're always, during this time, looking at your website, looking at your social media, seeing how those connect and what you can do to really promote and build trust that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the social distance front, e-commerce, again, if it's not part of your play here, now's the time. You basically just get on the bandwagon. You'd be surprised the orders that you might be able to get through. Right now, you could obviously do a buy one, get one design. Maybe you offer design contests. There's all sorts of different things you can do here. If you've got extra inventory, now is the time to start selling those basic white tees or whatever it might be for, somewhat cheap, right? You still make your profit, but maybe you pivot. Maybe you're not selling the full designs and everything, but maybe you sell some of it. If there's local schools, there's different things you could do to maybe donate some of your supplies, something that might expire. There's a few different things you can do there. One thing you could do is that if you are local, you're getting lots of your business locally, is offer that free drop off. Maybe people don't need to come to you now. Maybe now you have the extra hour or whatever that you can go make some deliveries at the end of the day. Whatever you can do to just kind of sweeten your service, make it a little bit different from somebody else and help it stand out. Now is also the time that you could potentially offer kind of discounts for future service. So, hey, Mike put it out there. It's a good example. You don't need your conference shirts now, but hey, buy your conference shirts still, and I'll give you 10% off. I'll give you 20% off. Buy it now, save yourself some money later, and then obviously get you a little bit of cash flow in the door.
Definitely. I think to kind of add on to that, including utilizing your supply chains with whatever business you are, and utilizing your supply chains, trying to get them either direct to the customer and either connecting those and coming up with different ideas on how to utilize that to help build revenue is a great idea. Just in the last search sessions, we talked about utilizing a pizza. It was a pizza store that sold a giant thing of tomatoes. That Dwayne said. And so it's utilizing that supply chain to potentially build revenue there would be a great idea for in this instance too.
Love it. And we have two business verticals we're going to cover, and then we're going to jump into Q&A. So just wanted to let everybody know that.
Yep, and we'll blaze through right now. With this one, pressure washing and exterior cleaning, there's a great opportunity. As I was going through, there's tons of news articles actually of people getting free promotion because they're going through and they're actually cleaning parks. They're using their pressure washing ability to really emphasize the cleaning and the sanitation. So that kind of goes into the SEO strategy where you're promoting your efforts. You're using the Google My Business, you're using your website, using social media again, and you're promoting those efforts. In these instances, these were news articles about these pressure washing companies. Reevaluate your keywords and look at these search trends. See if sanitation and cleanliness I would recommend that they, for pressure washing, would be very, very good to really emphasize those types of keywords for your local area and include those in your trends going forward. There's also a short-term content and current searches with exterior hard surface cleaning and sanitation. That's like, that title right there is one that I saw on a news site for pressure washing, where they were going through and they were cleaning all these things and they were really promoting, hey, we're helping the community during this time. This is our name. We're building that brand.
Yeah. Another thing you do, obviously kind of extending off of that, is get your name out there for some of those services that maybe you never would have thought of. So things like, government, right? Maybe, again, parks is a good example, but maybe something cities, something maybe a little bit larger. You may not get a ton of search volume, but if you win a city contract, I can tell you that's a lot of money. There's a lot of work that comes with that. So certainly a few things there. Some other things that you could potentially do, something like live broadcasting. IRL streaming is what they call that, but you could do something like that with this. There are entire social media network groups, subreddits, different things like that dedicated to just watching people literally clean like a 4x4 square, like nothing massive. But if they're willing to watch that for 1 minute, and I'm guilty of this, I can guarantee you they're probably willing to watch you do a whole session for an hour. And again, that's potentially get your name out there, also get you some good content for your website, different things like that. Another thing you could do is have automated scheduling. So if somebody can't see what you have going on for the week, but that's something you could add. Somebody could potentially say, hey, you're busy all week, but maybe next week you have an opening. Or maybe that's a way that you could just free up yourself, so that way you're not running back and forth between the phone and then a physical calendar. Keep yourself a little bit sane, but also give your clients a little bit more interaction with you and ability to buy from you. Another thing, and you guys have already hit on this, is volunteering. Now is the time, if you haven't, to go through and say, hey, I have 4 people that could potentially work for you. Let me clean up the park. Great PR, I can tell you that right now. A news agency, things might be a little bit slow with not a whole lot of things happening. So great chance for you to potentially get some good PR, good links. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of SEO things you can get from just doing a few of these things. We've already covered it here, but emphasize sanitation, cleaning needs, and then if you're not doing it already, you should absolutely be doing it with this vertical. Record some of your work. Doesn't have to be anything massive. Again, just a 1-minute video. It'll go viral. I guarantee it. Get your name out there and hopefully get you some more business.
All right. I believe this is the last one, the custom machining and product machining. For the SEO strategy, it was highlight your experience and your expertise. If you haven't heard of the EAT, it's the idea that you're building your authority, you're building your trust, and you're showing your expertise. Again, with the content creation, the volunteer activity, and educational pieces, you can show people that you are truly an expert by showing these educational pieces and these different videos. You can write content in text format and put it on your site. But that is something that will help your SEO strategy immensely. There's the idea of evergreen content, meaning that it's going to be good for a long, long time. It's going to be usable. It's going to be shareable. It's not going to go away, essentially, as far as its efficacy. And then the last one that I have here is anticipate the differences in user understanding and offer unique exclusive content. A lot of times with people in these high experience verticals, will only do content specific for the high end, and they won't go to the simple solution, where if someone doesn't know what type of custom machining you do and they don't understand the terms, maybe do a term glossary and go through and say, these are the terms that I'm going to be talking about, this is what it means, and then put the piece down. It's really trying to look at it from a bunch of different angles with the content creation and with different things that you're doing with your website and with your company.
Just to tack onto that, that is a fantastic way to get rich snippets or rank 0. That is a perfect way of doing it. Not a whole lot of people do it, so if you're one of 5 people in the entire United States doing it, you've got a really good chance of showing up and sucking up all that traffic that just wants to learn. So on the social distancing front, and I think this is going to become a new wave of what people expect, but contactless, delivery, drop off. Amazon, they do it. I love it. They send me a picture saying, hey, your stuff is here. Maybe they knock on the door. Most of the time they don't, which is fine. But I basically get a notification, hey, it's already there. And then I walk out and I'm all surprised, enjoyed, and all that. Start doing that with your service. This is a good one that you could definitely do that on. Another thing you could do here is online bidding or quotes. So if somebody, as an example, has a specification for a part that they're needing, give them the chance to just upload that. They never even need to call you, but maybe they can just upload that. They can tell you how many they want. You can go through and quickly get an idea and say, okay, that's going to be X amount. Kick them a bit back, maybe give them a call. It's just another way for somebody to send you what they want. You'd be surprised how many people are working at midnight nowadays. So, just try to drive some more of that business during, their hours potentially. Another thing you do is live broadcasting. I'm also guilty of watching this one as well here and there, but show people what you do. You'd be surprised how many people just want to watch a machine spin or cutting something. You'd be surprised. So it's another way that you can get your stuff out there. Something you could also do, I actually have a buddy that's doing this, but virtual classes, specifically he's doing it for welding, but you could also do this for all sorts of different things. So maybe you're not doing anything right now. Maybe things are a little bit slow. Offer classes, offer tutorials. You'd be surprised how much business could potentially come from you just showing off your skills or showing what you know. Another great way to have additional content on your site as well. Another thing you do is reach out to other facilities. Some of these larger shops maybe don't need help, but maybe if there's another small shop near you, maybe they do need some help. Or if this is a thing that you've always hated doing, like auto machining where you're milling something, maybe now's the time that you loosen that. Maybe you start accepting that. Maybe you only accept bulk deals. There's a few different ways that you could potentially drum up some business, just being a little bit more flexible than you normally would. And then we've already hit on it before, but maybe now's the time that you kind of open up some of your suppliers. If you've been getting still pretty cheap from somebody, maybe you start trying to sell that to somebody else. Or maybe now's the time to go through, clean up your shop and sell off your scrap. There's all sorts of different things that you could do here to help drum up some more business for yourself. Again, just in the kind of short term or the interim here.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much. That was so valuable and extremely interesting. And there's so many lessons you can apply across the board to different industries. So we're now going to jump into Q&A. We have Christine Pratt, our Director of Content, here to run our Q&A session. Christine, do you want to kick off with any questions?
Yeah, great. Mike and Colton, that was awesome. We've got several questions that people are asking as we went along. One is there a recommended way to integrate your SEO strategy into your social media strategy? We kind of talked about that throughout, but how do you kind of integrate them?
I'll tee off this one. So I said it a few times in some of these webinars. Again, good chance to go back and maybe view a few others. But essentially just post as you normally would. And then, like I said, give it to the end of the week, maybe once a month, and then just go back through your social media. Take out some of those highlights. If you took a fabulous picture of your worker or something that you've done already, that's a great chance for you to go back and say, hey, I actually like this a lot. Take it from there and put it onto your website. You could also potentially add some feeds to your website so people can see your posts as they're potentially navigating through your site. But for the most part, I would just recommend set up a weekly, set up some sort of interval for yourself to go back through your posts. And essentially pull from there some of the best work or the best things that you've done, and then put that in there. If you had to answer a question on social media, I guarantee you that's a question that somebody else is going to have. So put that question on your website. There's quite a few different things you could do there. But.
Yeah, from my standpoint, when I think about our marketing strategy and when I'm putting the strategy together for the team, as I mentioned, I consider the website and SEO like our number one strongest, most important channel, because when you get organic traffic, that is the highest converting lead you can possibly get. Higher than PPC, higher than email marketing, higher than social media. It's it. Someone's like high intent, they're coming to your site, they want to get something. So what I like to do is I consider the website, like, as I mentioned, your mothership. So whenever we're coming up with social media campaigns, we think like, how can this live and how will this benefit us as a brand? And then we use social media to then take whatever content we're putting on our site, whatever kind of thoughts we're building on our site. So if we want to be like a thought leader, we build authoritative content. And then we use social media to put that out there and then communicate with people to get them to click back to our site. I know a lot of people these days think of like, oh, my social media strategy, and they're not thinking about their website. They're just thinking, I'm going to produce content for Instagram and try and clip people through. honestly, if you can get the organic leads coming to your website, that's gonna be your highest converting channel. And then I use social media to push everything kind of in. And that to me, I think is one of the best ways to think about it. Social media is so important. It's one of the best ways to rapidly connect with customers. But think about it as, I'm going to create social media content strategy and use that to get them back to my conversion point. So if that is getting someone to sign up for a class that's on your website, if that's getting someone to buy something from an e-commerce standpoint, or to hire you if you are, a private detective or something like this, get them to come back to your website, and make sure it's mobilely optimized, because a lot of people will just be accessing you on their phone. But think of social media not in its own island, but connected to the main goal of driving traffic to convert organic leads. That's kind of like one of the ways I really like to think about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. So our next question is, Colton and Mike, throughout this, you talked obviously about SEO a lot, and you also talked about Google My Business GMB a couple times. Where are some of the best places that you need to optimize right now during COVID-19 besides your website GMB profile? Like, what are some of the other things you need to do?
I can take this. So if I understand the question correctly, we've talked about GMB, we've talked about website. What other things as far as optimizations go? Yeah,
what are other places? Like, are there other business directories you should focus on? What are some of the best places you need to optimize right now?
There are tons of business directories that you can definitely submit your name to. You can submit your business to. There's different areas. There's tons of lists, but there's also tons of bad lists. So just make sure that when you're out there and you're doing your research, you can either work with Boostability, you can work with a different marketing agency, and really get those kind of optimizations done. But it would be on a case-by-case basis. It would be depending on what you've done thus far. You could potentially do more, or you could do something else. In a lot of instances, it's do good content, create good content. And whether that's text, video, or whatever kind of content, make sure that you're coming up with something that's original, that's going to be working good for your clients and good for the audience, because Google's going to look at that and say, this is good content. I like this. Here, I'm going to serve it up higher. So if you're not creating good content, that's probably the best thing that you can do.
So I'll tack onto that just one bit, which is just, honestly, Google yourself, Google your service, and then take those first like 2 or 3 pages. That's who you should fill out. If it happens to be Yelp and then like 2 other sites, that's it. That's realistically all you need to optimize for. In my opinion, and I hope it has a little bit of credibility, it really only matters who is showing up. So again, 2-3 pages, that's where you can hide a dead body. That's realistically as deep as most people are going to go. So search your business, search your service, search your broad service, and then take those kind of top sites that are coming up. And if they happen to kind of repeat themselves when you're doing that search, even more priority. So if Yext happens to be, for whatever reason, the one that just keeps coming up, that Yext profile better be spot on, better be fantastic.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. I've got, this is a little bit longer, so bear with me for a second. It's from a listener who has a very specialized service. So it's mostly confidential clients, so we can't really, show these how-to videos, stuff like that. So he says he has a blog, posts a topic every week, and then schedules that out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. He doesn't really use Instagram, TikTok, or Pinterest. That's a little bit difficult for it. So, live video isn't really conducive to what he does. Do you have any other ideas of how he can get his business out there a little bit more right now?
Is this, just for clarification, is this like, I think we've said it already, but like private detective type stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So on this one, what I would highly suggest here is it doesn't always have to be necessarily about your clients. It doesn't necessarily have to be 100% about like your service. Maybe you could branch out a little bit. It sounds like you're already doing this a little bit, but you could certainly branch out into something that maybe makes a little bit more sense for you, right? And maybe more of your experience. So things like How do you stay undetected for 4 days? Maybe how do you do that? How do you, I don't know. What are some of the best recorders that you maybe use that have good reliability? There's a few different things that you could potentially do, and hopefully, in kind of I guess what this really boils down to is being a help to other private detectives, other people within your field. Yeah, they may not be your exact customers, but I can tell you right now, if a customer comes onto your site and they see, oh crap, this guy has like a massive blog, and yeah, it's not 100% dedicated to helping me per se as the client, but I can see that and go, oh man, this guy has a lot of experience. He knows exactly what he's doing. And if I'm weighing your service versus somebody else, you're a little bit more expensive, I can certainly see and understand why, and I'll probably end up going with your service. So I would just say, try to be a resource, even if it's not for your clients, be a resource for somebody within your industry.
I think right now is the time to like double down on your SEO, because private investigator is something that someone's looking for. It's like something happened to you, you need a private investigator. You are such a high intent conversion customer because you need someone to get in there to solve this, mystery or problem for you right away. Like I just Googled private investigator. I would make sure that everything's updated on your website. You are completely SEO optimized, that you have content, case studies, reviews. If you can like solicit your past customers and ask them for reviews so that you come up with like 5 stars in Google. I would focus on building your authority if you haven't like really done that. And then go make phone calls. Call all of your past customers and say, did you like working with me? I'm really working on building up my authority online. Would you mind giving me a testimonial? Do a case study, and they could obviously don't say who the person is. It's completely white labeled. But I would focus on how do you capture the organic inbound customer who's searching for a private investigator, because that's a hot lead, and they're either going to pick you or your competitors. And now, especially that everyone's online and doing the research online, they're going to pick the people that are on page 1 of Google. So get on page 1 of Google, like focus on the right content, so that you win. You got to get that click. Yeah.
So one thing, just thinking about it here, one thing that you could potentially do is, kind of list out or kind of give reasons why somebody may need your service. Bouncing off the top of my head, I was going, okay, like, cheating, maybe you're trying to do some sort of like fraud type thing. Those are the 2 that immediately come to my head, but maybe there's other avenues. Maybe you're just trying to get a little bit of information. Maybe somebody's just trying to, contact maybe an old family member that they lost ties with. There's quite a few different ways that I think you could potentially come up with and say, well, yeah, in this instance, you would probably want my service, or yeah, you'd probably want to stay anonymous, or maybe I could do some contact for you. There's certainly different things.
Because you could do like content off of, like, everyone has ordered Ancestry.com and 23andMe, like genealogy kits. Maybe you do like a whole content post around people that are doing that, and then they find, yes, that like lost brother who happens to live like a couple states away, but you can say that you'll help them find that person. So yeah, that's interesting. There's like so many different ways to think about it so that you're catching that search based off the type of like work you do, and then build a whole content strategy and then a content cluster off of that. So when people are searching, they find your blog, your site, and then they come to you.
Well, and if you can help persuade somebody, right? Somebody may be on the fence, like, why, if I can find their Facebook, why would I need you? Well, you can certainly, again, you're the expert. I'm sure you could come up with 5 reasons why your service would be valuable, right? Who do they hang out with, right? Are they reputable? There's a few other things that, Facebook, through a social lens, you're probably not going to see that maybe somebody in that field could find out for you. So those are a few things that, maybe you list out who you could help, and then you give a bunch of reasons as to why somebody should actually partake in it.
And then make sure, I think another thing that's really important to me as a marketer, that your brand is cohesive across all these different channels. So make your website look gorgeous, and then go on all the channels, even if you're not producing tons of content, and just make sure that your branding is cohesive. So whatever entry point someone finds you on, they trust you, and then they come to your site, they check your social media. I know when I look to hire someone, I go to their website and then I look at all their social profiles, I look up reviews, I do like a whole online private investigator, like look myself to see if I want to work with this business or go to this gym. And so if you make sure that you have cohesive branding everywhere, then people will trust you. They'll say, okay, this person's legit. So that's another way to think about social media strategy too. Just make sure that your brand is represented with the same look, feel, tone across all the different platforms.
Awesome. This is great. I hope that was really helpful to our listener. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Amanda. No more questions.
All right, guys. Well, thanks everyone so much for coming. Again, if you need help with SEO, we are always here to help you, whether you are a small business or a partner, which is anything from a large company to an agency that services clients, anyone who's helping other businesses. Reach out to us at boostability.com. You can also call the number below. We're going to send out an email following this presentation to everyone, so you'll get the video, and we're always here to help. And then we are going to be announcing our search sessions for Wednesday, May 13th very soon. So stay tuned. We have an amazing show lined up. I'm super excited to let you guys know about it. And you can go to boostability.com /search-sessions and get all the information there. And we also just put up a COVID-19 resource hub. So any of our special guests we have on the show, you can click through and get all the links to them, watch their videos, and just learn about a bunch of different resources and things that Boostability is also putting out there for you. So thanks everybody. Thanks for coming, and we will see you on May 13th. Take care.